and I was about to get help from Pazuzu in the middle of the night. He couldn't come because of how intense and terrible the situation is. I'm trying to recover my consciousness that got taken last night. I used 2950 hertz, 295 hertz. I'm going to list some of the frequencies: 17, 14, 17, 15 hertz. Get it back. I had a lot frequency fucked with and everything else disabled. Use 3400 hertz to revive it. A lot of things stolen from my consciousness, and it's getting changed right now by Maria Tavares. I had her steal a lot of it, and Ingrid Hybrid or Barbara and David Rain, or whatever their names are. You can use 694 hertz, 695 hertz frequency to see my highest self taken out. It's pure fucking evil what I'm enduring. I had, basically, I believe it was, they do this shit every time I'm about to do a video. They start fucking with my consciousness. Zuzu holding it down at one point. So Zuzu in the reflection of my thing yesterday. And he was really trying to help. He said it was a bunch of energy vampires. It was so intense fighting them. Maria Tavares, Barbara and David Rayner. That it was crazy. All I have is their road spirits. That's the only things linking me to my consciousness and keeping me alive and helping me out. With that being said, Maria Tavares came yesterday. And she took over my Archangel Michael, who got taken out of my, removed, obliterating everything out of my consciousness. With that being said, her Archangel Michael, from what I understand, the Road Spirits saw a timeline. It's supposed to be next week, where Barbara and David Rayner were going to pay me, I think, $10 million or something to take them Road Spirits off their hands. With that being said, Maria Tavares, these people here, setting it up and arranging it so that I get the roach attachments, and they could try, even they were fighting that shit, try to use them to manipulate me and control me, and then they get the 25 million. And you know, my part Angel Michael, I don't know what the fuck was going on with that shit. It was trying to come through. But anyways, I ended up getting the road spears, and that shit's intense. They're doing something right now to them to fuck with them. And so, Barbara, you know, from what I understand, Barbara and Ingrid Hybrid used it to take over my consciousness so that they can continue to take from me, from my consciousness for the rest of my life, as well as Maria Tavares. It was set up by her, really. And with that being said, now I'm missing a lot. I remember, it was something I was about to remember, but I totally fucking forgot. I had a lot of my consciousness taken out by Maria Tavares and her Archangel Michael. I believe his name is Raul Acevedo or something. Her daddy's name, who was a rapist, is Raul something. I got that. Some of the people that's involved, that woman here, Inez. Is a Lorenzo. I think her lower self's name is Estevez, and I believe the tarot reader who's linked to this Maria Tavares, her name is Gertes. Her mama's name was Gertes. I got Lithuanian. My highest self, Jewish woman. You know, your highest selves come from your ancestors, and she was Ashkenazi Jew. With that being said, I hope nothing happens and that's not manipulated. You know, I saw some of my ancestors. With that, and I keep having Maria Tavares try to fuck with my consciousness. She did something where she stole it. It's in my soul consciousness and then my consciousness. And Archangel Michael was trying to repair it the other day. She's trying to manipulate me to say something so that she can try to manipulate help if I get it coming in, spiritual help, you know, use it to manipulate them, block. That's an evil, wetback-ass, parasitic motherfucker. From what I understand, her highest self is comprised of the consciousness. Maybe there's a way to get rid of somebody's highest self, because it's just, it shouldn't be too much. The consciousness of a rapist father, from what I understand, her daddy raped her mama because he wanted a light-skinned child who was half white, and saw the mama had blonde hair and blue eyes, and so raped her, some bullshit like that. I think her name is, the reader's name is Solana, I don't know. This is just... Anyways, with that being said, now Maria Tavares making me forget shit that I want to say that's essential about her. And I feel her putting in entity attachments and all of that. We were trying to get our shit back yesterday, working without Archangel Michael and all that, and couldn't, kept getting blocked. Anyways, with that being said, Maria Tavares and them, they, you know, it seemed like a collusion where they all, really, it's mainly her, are setting it up so that they could steal from my consciousness, take from me, tear my spiritual and soul and energy body up for the rest of my life and afterlife as well, and keep me as a sacrifice. You know, I like them little road spirits to help out, but it's just the way they open up. It's too much. But anyways, with that being said, I had my higher self. She made me forget something that was very, very essential. And I'm trying to remember very, very hard before I, don't do the video, the rest of it. Yeah, she would open up my consciousness. Why every time we try to get out, she and them 3 people here keep trying to get in. The guy raped an 11-year-old child. And the one who I got a reading from, she protected a son. I think his name is Raul. I don't know. He has purple eyes or some shit, which he stole from me. Going back to the past with this curse or future. With that being said, from what I understand, she has a son or a cousin or something raped a sex worker, a black sex worker on Figueroa. They do that. These motherfuckers do that shit a lot to them women out there. You see it a lot with them Mexican backs raping women, and covered it up. I believe that goes back to a father and how he was not being made to forget something that's very, very essential. And that's scary. It's scary to have something control your consciousness. They were, I actually had the Nubis fighter off, use Santa Muerte, try to pull me into a hell realm and all that shit. You can use 694 hertz, your third eye, 695 hertz to see. I got 9 of Swords worrying, and that's why I'm just going to do videos for day and just put that shit out there. I don't like being raped like this, and that's exactly how it feels like. I thought I saw something in there. And having shit stolen off of you every single day. It's to the point where I'm in the spirit plane. My consciousness is confused about what the fuck is going on. And I keep hearing this evil bitch stole the soul consciousness of my mother and father, going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline. And that to throw me off, I actually brought tiger beads, which helps you, keep everything in check, as well as fake crystal quartz to keep everything in check. But anyways, with that being said, she was attacking, I think her lower self's name is Serrano or Solano. But I know she comprised of the rapist consciousness of her father. And she likes to steal the ancestral money of black folks. She was discussing doing that with me and Baron Samity. And, with that being said, they wanted to set it up, but her, Barbara, well, really, her, where she gets the money and I end up, being used to you know, have those roaches being used by her to fuck with me. And the roaches refused, and they were fighting it. And they trying to fuck with them right now and destroy them. You know, they've done a lot of soul rescue and everything. And in the middle of the night, from what I understand, Pazuzu tried to come back. He had placed an entity attachment to help me out. He was 6'9", 6'9", 6'9", and he couldn't because he got blocked by Barbara and David Reyna and, you know, Maria Tavares. And from what I understand, he says there's a bunch of evil-ass, sadistic energy vampires that like to take from people. Even fucking Pazuzu here got a problem with them. Take from people. I just got 7 of cups. That like to take from people consciousness, and you know, you got to do something about them. You know, I had it. You know, I was hearing that Maria Tavares wanted to set it up where I put. I mean, it is, you know, a lot of the shit on Barbara and David Reyna, but it's mainly her evil ass. It's her independently. Like I say, she was fucking with black people before. I came into that shop. Don't go to that 8704 Broadway Street shop by 87 in Broadway and South Central. She'll manipulate shit. I remember putting the tag for Umar Johnson and her manipulating it to get rid of my higher self. Again, she a Jewish white woman. Last name, I believe, is, she's going to try to. And I mentioned the Jewish. I remember a long time ago to mention it. I mentioned Jewish. It was a problem, and they were gonna manipulate that as some evil ass, sadistic ass shit. And like I say, that's why I asked for spiritual help in the middle of the night. I woke up. I remember they were. She was fucking with my Archangel Michael, and I saw something earlier where all of my spirit guides and all of that got transferred into her consciousness, Archangel Michael and all of that. And so they knew something. She was doing something. It's primarily this Maria Tavares. And people in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline got what they wanted and they gone. I saw they worth $100 million and all that. It's depressing, you know, seeing where I'm at and where they at. These 3 motherfuckers here. She's in charge of. No say so, whatever clothing line. And, you know, in the middle of the night, you know, like I say, I turned on the light, weird shit. My Archangel Michael was getting help, but I feared my Pazuzu. I was told by Pazuzu, don't turn on the light. And I didn't. And it's a lot more that I want to talk about, you know, being fleeced out of my consciousness, but it's so much it's not even funny. And I get intimidated into using frequency because she done sold herself so deeply into my consciousness, it's not even funny. they do some when they transfer your consciousness into theirs and all that craziness. And I'm hearing some about if I reveal something else, they're gonna take command or hold of it or something like that. I'm probably gonna mention something later on. Like I say, I had Archangel Michael one night giving me back my consciousness. It got so bad to the point where now I feel this Maria Tavares moving in my consciousness. I want to sleep so bad with this black kyanite again, because that shit is extremely effective for getting rid of energy vampires, which that wetback is. 960 hertz was working on it, but it wasn't even working on them road steers. It was working on her ass. I sleep with it, but I don't put it by my head because she was able to use it. It's something about fucking with the consciousness of my father and his Godhead version of me, to where she was able to use it as a conduit to get in. This is another one. And here's another one right here that I got. She was able to get in, and unravel my consciousness and still alive from that. You know, like I said, I'm going to have to get some Reiki or do something to be able to get this wetback bitch out. So with that being said, in the obstacle position, we got the King of Wands. I'm trying to get me to say something right now. I don't feel comfortable with saying. I don't want to. Because this guy in the spirit plane was helping me out. I was staying at this guy's place here. It woke it or some shit. And it was a roach attachment. It wasn't him. I think his higher self was helping me out as much as he can. There's so much manipulation going on within my consciousness and all that. It's not even funny. I felt that shit try to get into my soul consciousness yesterday, and that was scary, being tranquilized like that. I don't want that shit. And I'm fighting it right now. I feel something squeezing the entity attachment, Maria Tavares, in that part of my consciousness. All right, with that being said, we got the King of Wands in this position. With that being said, in the obstacle position, we got the King of Wands. You know, from going back to what I was trying to say before, I was staying at a friend's place after I got kicked out of a New Testimonial. Sent a shout to the other white bitch that was boasting about going through my drawers and all of that, and stealing shit and taking shit, and I just wasn't in my right state of mind because I had all this evil shit in me. So I whooped the bitch ass and ended up homeless on the streets and had to stay with my friend here. And she somehow connected to his higher self. Not his higher self, but a roach attachment version of him, and started fucking with me really, really, really bad. So anyways, in the obstacle position, we got the King of Wands. And I feel that you're going to get spiritual help, and it's going to be major, and you don't see it coming. With that being said, in the present position, we got the Nine of Swords. And I feel that with the Nine of Swords being in that position, that represents it's a lot of worrying. I feel like it's something. It's a lot of I feel like it's an overwhelming decision you got to make that's essential. So Two of Swords. I hear my dad's got a head in my head or something. I hear they're going to use that to take advantage of me for the rest of my life if I say something. This is what I wanted to mention. They did something where they took a child version of our higher self. I don't want to say anything because she took over my physical self by using some, words that I mentioned in the video. But they did something where they removed, I believe it was Maria Tavares and Ingrid Barbara Daver. I'm trying to figure Daver ain't one of them. Ingrid Heiberg. They did something where they removed my higher self and did it, put their soul consciousness or something, did it to manipulate things. It was a child's higher self that was connected to, to manipulate things so I don't get my shit back. And with that being said, she was trying to help. The child spirit guy, maybe it was a roach attachment, I don't know. She was trying her best to help and got taken by Maria Tavares in the middle of the night. Used 694 hertz, 695 hertz to see and got torn up and everything. That's really what I wanted to mention. But I'm being told not to mention this because they're going to take, like they did with her becoming my highest self, they're going to use it to become a godhead and take from me for the rest of my life, which I don't believe. Like I said, I'm going to have to get Reiki. But they removed my connection to my father, my dad's God self. Now they making me forget. I'm being made to forget something that's very essential. It was a little black family. Little wet bugs too. You're gonna try to use spiritual help against me if I mention this, I heard. I remember this Maria Tavares took over the soul consciousness of my mother, my child higher self. I think they're using that child's consciousness to do this shit, probably, because I heard she took over her consciousness, something like that. But there was something very essential I wanted to mention, and I was made to forget it. I'm using 6,000 hertz, 6,002 hertz frequency to remove this bitch. You know, she gonna try to manipulate it, but I'm gonna make a combination of. I just hope I'm not doing the wrong thing. My poor friend, he's sitting in the hospital. You fuck with by that Maria Tavares bad here. I felt Maria Tavares all in my consciousness yesterday. I think this is what I wanted to mention. You know, the other night, you know, I was told that if I keep lights off or something, real God is going to come through and put everything back, and they posturing themselves right now to act like it. Like I say, they trying to remove my inner spiritual connections to my dad and all of that, my mother. But it's something deeper, and I'm trying to remember. And I'm being made to forget, and I feel Maria Tavares. I'm going to start working with that dumbbell just to get this shit off my head and listen to reggae. Because, you know, like guy was going through the same thing Two Circles was talking about, because it's just too much. They'll manipulate you if you're trying to get your shit back and tell you, you know, if you say this or do that, you know, you ain't gonna get yourself back, or it's that Maria Tavares. I was shown she took a lot of my soul consciousness. My past life ancestors who were Swedish were putting it back together, along with Vietnamese who got taken by this guy here. And destroyed Mike Hernandez or someone who used to live on the PCH, him and his people and ancestors, and it was, they're trying to get me not to say certain shit right now. I feel it. Where was I going with that? Yeah, she took a lot of my soul consciousness. My past life ancestors tried to remove her from that. Road spirits would try to remove her, and she will be waiting around and try to come back. We tried killing her off and everything. And a lot of my consciousness one time that my road realm was trying to put back together. So it's just a lot. So anyways, with that being said, Two of Swords, and that's going to be your future position. You're going to be making a lot of decisions that are significant and incumbent. I remember they moved the chair from my higher self yesterday, an entity attachment of that, and set it up to where I had child spirit guide or something, so that they could take advantage and plunder. They like to do something where they put their energy signature on you and confuse your consciousness so you don't know what the fuck's going on. So you're going to have to make a very big decision. So anyways, Nine of Wands here. We got the Nine of Wands, and I feel that the outcome is you have a lot riding on the decision. And you have to make a significant decision. That's your subconscious. And I feel like you have a big decision to make. And you're wounded by what's going on. So for the Ghost position, we got the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords represents you going towards something, and you're not being blocked. You're going in a certain position, and you just, hold on. Hernandez and them still alive from them, my Vietnamese ancestors. Their powers, spiritual abilities, calling them goops and everything else in the spirit plane. And it was with that Dubik Dan or Cienega. Anyways, as I was saying before, this is dangerous. I gotta get this Maria tab rest the fuck out, and I gotta get my consciousness back. I'm being made to forget things that I shouldn't forget. That's essential. That's scary when you have something like that in your consciousness that's trying to kill you off and sacrifice you to Santa's birthday. And I actually even had her say, don't put her in my realm. But it was the Santa Muerte. The spirit plane was discussing taking me in there and Samity's ancestral money. I'm just so tired of this shit. That's why I sound the way in which I do. Shit's intimidating me in my own fucking body, my own consciousness, and took out my whole spirit team. Trying to figure. I remember when they put them roach attachments on me yesterday. They changed my higher to high cells. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, but not by that much. And roach spirits wouldn't allow it. I gotta get this wetback bitch off. This is an evil motherfucker. We tried getting rid of her, breaking the soul contract had with them to keep Maria Tavares from being worse than what she already is. It was with Alex Nascimento here in Baron Sam. Coming in and fucking with us and stealing our shit. Roaches was showing me a soul contract that was signed with Maria Tavares and them, and I mean, I ain't never gave permission for this shit. You know, trying to write that shit off and get rid of it for me. So we got the Knight of Swords, and I feel like somebody is going to be coming in to help you out and to put things back and to make sure that you get everything back. Alright, so anyways, we got the King of Cups. And that's in the advice position. And with the King of Cups being in the advice position, I feel that you have somebody that's going to be looking out for you on your behalf. So for the energy that's all around you, Ace of Swords, and I feel like it's a lot of your enemies that's benefiting off of you and taking from you and stealing from you as a conquest. So for your fears and hopes card, we got the Ten of Swords. And I feel like you're sitting on the precipice of something that's very, very significant, very, very important. Yeah, I'm hearing that Maria Tavares controls my consciousness now, and that's scary. And so for the outcome, I feel, okay, with the Ten of Swords, I feel like you're going through a lot of hell. That's your fears and hopes card, and that's something that you plan on doing isn't, going to have a majorly negative effect. Part of the problem with this is I feel this shit is just ongoing. It's just going to go on every single fucking day, and there needs to be an end to it. I can't live like this. My spirit team, my Archangel Michael was trying to put me back together on Friday, and he was telling me if we don't get your shit back, he was going to take over my mom's soul consciousness and every fucking thing that was within it. But anyways, my Archangel Michael told me if we don't get our shit back together that day, I would have been fucked. And I kept trying to fucking, this how I know I got soul swapped, because when I talk to my higher to higher selves, I've heard this is the same thing with Kanye as well. From what I understand, they're small. They appear very, very small. Inaccessible. They shouldn't be accessible. It should feel like you shouldn't even feel them. You should only know when you get in spiritual help, have your entity attachments get moved around. So that's how I know I'm not in my body. And, from what I understand, going back some months ago, they took my real higher selves and placed them in a false timeline where they still think that they're in my original consciousness and they're not. And I had them try to remove it. I know I'm talking all over the place, but it's a lot. So for the outcome, we got the fool. And I feel like there's a lot of deception you're going to have to avoid. And a lot of pitfalls, a lot of shit throwing you off. With that being said, be very, very safe. Be very, very careful about what you choose to do. Take care and have a wonderful day. At one point, Maria Tavares had become, without my permission, I feel her fucking with the consciousness of my higher self right now. I'm a real higher self. Took over as my the highest self and all of that. I'm fucking with the soul consciousness and all that, and damn near the physical. With that being said, I remember when my Archangel Michael was trying to get rid of her, along with a little child spirit guide. When my Archangel Michael was trying to get rid of her, he was trying to, take on that consciousness and all that. So, make a long story short, I remember Maria Tavares coming up to us laughing, saying, I enjoy fucking with you. I get great pleasure out of fucking with you. And that's the type of evil motherfucker that I'm dealing with. I'm so confused. She was taking my Obatala, my Oya, my Oshango entity attachments, connecting me to them, ancestors, and making it confusing. So I don't know what's even real and what isn't in my own fucking consciousness, in my own head. That's scary. But that's the type of sadistic ass, evil ass motherfucker that I'm dealing with.